Welcome to the deep dive. If you're here, you're probably looking to, really get to the heart of things quickly.
That's what we aim for, cutting through the noise.
Exactly. And today we're diving into some interesting excerpts from a Morning Murli. This one's dated April 14th, 2025.
It offers a really unique spiritual perspective.
So think of this as our way of distilling those core ideas for you.
Right. And the central theme, really, it revolves around this concept of a huge cyclical play.
A play, like on a stage?
Sort of.
Yeah.
A play of happiness and sorrow. And there's a father figure involved who helps souls navigate this cycle.
Interesting. So the soul's journey is key here.
Absolutely. It's all about the soul's path.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack all this. We want to give you a fresh look at life's ups and downs, maybe even how you see yourself, spiritually.
We'll touch on the soul's journey through time, this idea of purity and impurity waxing and waning.
And this cyclical world concept. It sounds quite different from the everyday view.
It definitely is. So let's jump in. This play of happiness and sorrow. What's the core idea?
Well, the text says it's not just random feelings, right? The good day, bad day.
Exactly. It proposes a much grander structure, a whole cycle divided into two halves, one of happiness, one of sorrow.
That's a big departure from thinking emotions are just fleeting.
It really is. It suggests a cosmic rhythm almost.
And it moves through stages. You mentioned Satapradhan, Sato.
Yes, Adopradhan, Sato, Raho, and Tamo. Think of them as phases, like seasons, but for spiritual energy or purity.
Okay, can you break those down a bit? Satapradhan is the peak.
Right. Satopradhan is like the golden age, maximum purity. Then it gradually declines through Sato, Rato.
And finally Tamo, which is the lowest point.
Exactly. Like pure gold Satopradhan slowly getting mixed with other metals, losing its original quality. It describes the overall spiritual state of an era.
That gold analogy helps. So the whole world, in a sense, goes through these stages.
That's the perspective, yes.
Now, what about the father figure mentioned? Who is this father?
The text presents the Father as the supreme soul, the ultimate source, the parent of all individual souls.
All souls, regardless of, status or anything.
Yes, fundamentally, everyone is a soul, and this supreme soul is the Father of all. It's a very unifying concept, actually.
It really is. Everyone connected through this one source. The Murli also says you, meaning those who get this knowledge, really understand this.
It implies that this specific understanding offers a unique clarity, a lens that others might not have yet.
So the knowledge itself is key to grasping these relationships.
That's the implication.
It also mentions souls being brothers and sisters, originating via Brahma, leading to a high or low clan. What's that about? Clans.
Well, Brahma here seems to represent a point of creation or transition within the cycle. The higher-low clan likely refers to the different levels of purity or spiritual status souls attain based on their efforts and understanding during their journey.
So not necessarily a social structure, but more about spiritual attainment.
That seems to be the context, yes. Like different levels of spiritual evolution within the cycle.
Okay, let's talk about the abode of silence, the original home. What's it like?
It's described as a realm of absolute purity, like that pure gold we talked about, but with no alloy at all. It's the soul's natural, untainted state.
Before they enter this whole cycle of birth and death.
Exactly. In that abode, the text suggests each soul has its part recorded, its role in the play, but exists in perfect purity, kind of like a seed containing the whole tree's potential.
A place of pure potential. But the text contrasts this strongly, saying no pure souls exist here now.
Right. In the current phase of the cycle, that original purity is diminished. It's become difficult for souls and bodies to maintain that state.
But there's an exception mentioned. You, the decoration of the Brahmin clan, are becoming pure. Who are the Brahmins here?
In this context, Brahmins seems to refer to those actively studying and applying this specific knowledge. They're consciously on the path back to purity.
Okay, so they're striving. But it also says they aren't deities yet.
Correct. Deities are seen as completely viceless, perfect. The text acknowledges that those currently practicing are still working towards that ideal. It's aspirational.
It maintains a sense of realism about the journey, then.
It does. And it stresses that this knowledge, this understanding, comes from the ocean of knowledge.
The Father?
Yes, who is said to come only once in the entire cycle.
Wow. So it's presented as a very rare, crucial opportunity for learning.
That's the significance attached to it.
The Murli also mentions sanskaras. Some people, even kids, grasped this quickly because of these sanskaras from past cycles, like spiritual muscle memory.
That's a good way to put it. Sanskaras are like the soul's ingrained tendencies or imprints. If a soul encountered this knowledge before, it might resonate more easily this time around.
Like picking up an old skill again. Now, there's a choice presented. Masters of a new world or masters of the land of silence. What's the difference?
Becoming masters of the new world seems to mean achieving a high status in the next purified cycle, the Golden Age. Being influential then.
Okay, and the land of silence.
That points back to the soul's original home, the abode of silence. So it suggests a path of liberation, returning to that pure, incorporeal state.
So influence in the next cycle versus returning to the source, basically.
That seems to be the choice laid out. Two potential goals.
And the text notes most people don't even know they came from that incorporeal world as points of light.
Right. It suggests a widespread lack of awareness about the soul's true origin and nature.
It also corrects some ideas, like souls being big physical things, salograms, or just merging into a big light, the Brahm element.
Yes, it emphasizes the soul as an individual point of light, distinct and eternal. Not something that dissolves or has a large form. The individuality is important.
So no merging into nothingness. Each soul has its part.
That's the view here, which connects to the idea of liberation in life followed by bondage. What's that about?
Liberation in life seems to be a state of inner freedom you can achieve now through this knowledge and connection with the Father, even while living.
Okay, freedom while still in the play.
Right. And the bondage would be the later, more impure part of the cycle where souls experience limitations and sorrow.
So freedom and bondage are also cyclical states experienced here.
Exactly. And the Father is called the bestower of salvation for all. How does that salvation happen?
The key method mentioned is remembrance, remembering the Father.
Just thinking about the Father.
A focused, consistent remembrance. It's presented as the way to purify the soul, to burn away the accumulated negativity or alloy. It's called the pilgrimage of remembrance.
An internal pilgrimage, not going somewhere physically.
Precisely. It's about the inner connection.
Now, there's a warning about not blowing your own trumpet, right? Believing you're already perfect.
Yes, it cautions against spiritual pride or complacency, thinking you've arrived when there's still effort required.
Like thinking you're ready for the final exam way too early.
Exactly. The text uses that analogy. A student takes the exam at the proper time. It emphasizes that the pure world still needs establishing and individuals still need to make effort. Humility is key.
And it says, no one has reached 16 celestial degrees of fullness yet. What does that mean?
Those 16 celestial degrees seem to represent the absolute peak of purity and spiritual power, the state of beings in the Golden Age. Saying no one is there yet reinforces that the journey is ongoing.
Okay, this need for purity then connects to the idea of a pure world being necessary.
Right. If souls become pure, they need a pure environment.
And this is where the idea of destruction or transformation comes in. It mentions missiles as the sign of the current Tamopradhan state.
Yes. The text views the current era as the most impure, Tamopradhan, and sees signs like advanced weaponry as symptoms of this decline. This decline, however, is seen as a necessary precursor to renewal.
Like clearing the slate for the new cycle.
In a way, yes. It's presented as part of the larger drama, the cosmic play. Pruning the garden, as we said earlier.
So destruction isn't just random chaos, but part of a predictable pattern leading to renewal.
That's the perspective offered.
It contrasts the current land of falsehood, identifying it as Bharat, India, with its past as the land of truth.
Yes, it positions Bharat as the original stage for the highest, purest state of humanity, the eternal deity religion, which has since declined.
Let's go back to the Father's role. He's called the seed of the human world, the truth, and the living being. That's quite a title.
It really underscores the Father's position as the ultimate origin, the source of truth, and the bestower of eternal spiritual life.
And he fills souls with virtues.
Yes, and that pilgrimage of remembrance we talked about is how souls reconnect with those virtues and absolve past negativity or sins.
It connects to that cry, "Oh, purifier, come." The Father's arrival is when the purification starts.
Exactly. His arrival is seen as the response to that call the moment the tide turns back towards purity.
And there's that analogy. Everyone is like Sita in Ravan's jail.
A powerful image suggesting souls are trapped by negativity.
But Ravan isn't a person here.
No, the Murli clarifies Ravan represents the 5 main vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego. These vices dominate the current vicious world.
contrasting with the viceless world of the Golden Age, ruled by Lakshmi and Narayan.
Precisely. So the traditional story of Rama and Ravan is reinterpreted symbolically here.
Okay, and this whole cycle, Ravan's kingdom, then Rama's kingdom, or the Golden Age, happens repeatedly over 5,000 years, with 84 births for souls.
Yes, that's the specific time frame given. Victory, heaven, and defeat, hell, are experienced within this cycle on Earth, specifically in Bharat.
So heaven and hell aren't other places you go after death.
Not according to this text. They are states of existence experienced cyclically here. And the goal isn't merging into light or nirvana, but participating in the renewed heaven on Earth.
Becoming Narayan, essentially. That's the goal stated.
Yes, achieving the highest status, like Lakshmi and Narayan. But it stresses effort is needed.
Right, or you end up in the Moon Dynasty, which is 2 degrees less than the Sun Dynasty. What are these degrees?
They likely represent levels of spiritual purity, power, and influence in the coming Golden Age. Sun Dynasty is the top tier. Moon Dynasty slightly less so. It motivates effort.
Personal responsibility again. You don't automatically get the highest status.
No, it depends on the effort made now. And the text links the current impurity in Bharat to people forgetting their original deity religion.
Like a collective spiritual amnesia.
Forgetting their true elevated nature.
Now, the discus of self-realization, what is that? And the army, who spins it?
The discus seems to symbolize the complete knowledge. Understanding yourself as a soul, the cycle of time, the father's role. Spinning it means constantly keeping this awareness active.
So the army are those who live with this constant awareness.
Exactly. They are spiritually awake and engaged, you could say.
And the father's direction is to remember the creator, the father, to absolve sins. Higher status comes from being a spinner of this discus, inspiring others, doing service.
Yes, it links understanding, practice, remembrance, and service to achieving a higher spiritual state.
It also explicitly says Sri Krishna isn't the father. The inheritance comes from the father, the purifier.
An important clarification within the Indian context, distinguishing this path and its source.
Okay, this brings us to liberation again, and the Ganges. The text contrasts bathing there with remembrance.
Right. It emphasizes that true, deep purification is internal, through that connection with the Father, rather than solely through external rituals like bathing, however sacred they may be.
Even dying by the Ganges or chanting Hari isn't enough on its own.
The text suggests that while these acts have significance, the soul's purity isn't automatically guaranteed just by the physical act or location of death. Only the Father's remembrance truly purifies.
So the focus is always steered back inward.
Consistently.
The Murli then sums things up with an essence for dharna, key points to hold on to. What are the main ones?
Basically, absorb the Father's virtues. Aim for complete purity before the exam time. Avoid pride. Be a spinner of the discusses. Live the knowledge. Remember the Father and cycle constantly. Keep your mind focused on the big picture, the unlimited.
Very practical advice for someone following this path. Then there's a blessing.
Yes, about gaining victory over problems by staying in your original stage. That awareness of being a soul separate from the body in temporary situations. Staying in that soul consciousness brings stability and happiness, making you a confluence-aged victorious jewel.
Victorious during this transitional time.
Nice. And the slogan.
Finish any forceful flow of waste thoughts with the power of transformation. Very direct. Mental discipline.
Definitely. Finally, the Avyak signal mentions the combined form. What's that?
It refers to feeling constantly connected with the Father, like a partnership. You, the soul, the actor, and the Father, the inspirer, are always together.
The Karanhar and the Caravanhar.
Exactly. Recognizing you're not acting alone on this journey, there's divine companionship and guidance available.
A sense of constant support. Wow, well, this has been quite the exploration.
It really has. We've covered the cycle, the Father, the soul's journey back to purity, the importance of remembrance.
And this idea of inner transformation being key. It's a very comprehensive framework.
It offers a way to see life's challenges and joys not just as random, but part of a purposeful cyclical pattern. Absolutely. And for everyone listening, we hope this deep dive gave you some fresh perspectives, maybe some aha moments about happiness, sorrow, or even your own inner self.
It definitely leaves you with things to think about. For instance, how does this idea of a grand cycle of happiness and sorrow sit with your own life experiences?
That's a great question. Or what changes if you really start to view yourself primarily as that point of light, that soul on this epic journey?
Food for thought, definitely.
Indeed. Thanks so much for joining us on the deep dive today.
Thank you.
Till next time, keep exploring.